Well, hello everyone and welcome to a very exciting episode here on the MIgardener channel. So today we're going to be planting out our cold weather crops into the greenhouse. They can't go into the ground yet, it's just still too cold, and also the garden's not ready at the cottage yet, it's still pretty messy. So we're going to be moving them up a size. You have these cells here, they're 1 inch by 1 inch. They can only stay in there for a little while, and the reason why I like this though, I talked about in the seed sprouting or the seed starting episode, is that the cells are really small. So if something doesn't sprout, it didn't waste a whole lot of space. If I were to take these trays here, these are basically a 32 flat here, and so the thing is, if I were to plant one seed in the middle of the 30, in the middle of one of these cells here, it wastes 1/32 of the space. Whereas if a seed doesn't sprout in here, it wastes like 1/288 of the space. So it's like, it just makes a lot more sense. And it does not stress them out as much as people would think. I had a lot of people asking if it stressed the roots out. The roots, they basically kind of coil around, but they don't really become root bound. It kind of just holds the soil together in a plug, and you'll see that in a second. So then the next thing is the soil mixture. It's the same exact soil mixture, except I'm switching out the base for the seed starter mix with just a regular composted humus. So we always talk about the soil here because when you have really loose soil, it allows the roots to go right down into the soil and find the nutrients and find the water that they need, rather than struggling to go through any medium. So it's really nice to have a loose medium here. This is just one cubic block of the Lambert peat moss, and that's just I don't have the bag here, but it's just a compressed block of peat. And then I also used 1 bag of the sweet peat, the composted humus. And then also to that, I basically just added a couple gallons of water to re-moisten the peat, because you'll notice it's very dry, and what happens is when you have it dry like that and you water it, it can bubble up on the top, and it doesn't really absorb well. So I like to pre-moisten it just as you would with like a cocoa peat. And then also I've obviously mineralized this time. Before I added no nutrients at all, other than I guess a few cups of worm castings into the seed starting mix. Whereas this, I've actually used some trifecta. So I put in about, I didn't really measure about how much. I'd say probably about 4 to 5 cups in this entire wheelbarrow full, because they don't need a whole lot yet. They just need something to get started and get going, but they do need something, otherwise they're going to have a nutrient deficiency, because they do need some nutrients. So all we're going to do is we're just going to fill up these, and then I'll show you how this plug system works. It's pretty cool, and I think I'm going to get a lot of you guys to try this. They're really inexpensive, these trays. I think they're like $150 on eBay, and you get like a pack of 10 of them, so it's like $150 each. So it's like no more than 12 bucks. So it's really cheap, and free shipping. So it's not a big deal. So the next thing I was going to address was the question of whether or not the plants would need to be bumped up another size. People, when I talked about moving them into this, they said, well, is that going to be the final spot? Yes, this is the final spot here, because we look at planting like mid to late April, all our cold weather stuff in the ground, so they really don't need any more than this. If now we're talking tomatoes, I will bump them up to the next size up from this, and so that's just ensuring that the roots aren't going to get really root bound. So if you're following along with the seed starting series, you can do the same thing, and you shouldn't have a problem. All right, pretty simple there. Get that done. Okay, now come on in close. We're gonna pop some of these out here so you can see the right time to transplant, because right now it's not perfect for like the Swiss chard, which you'll see, but right now the kale and the cabbage, they need to get out, because they're gonna start getting a little stressed, because they're right at that prime time. So come on in close, check this out. I think you guys are really gonna enjoy this. So isn't this a super healthy tray of seedlings? Look at that. Beautiful things, absolutely not leggy at all. It's exactly what you want to see when it comes to the height of the seedlings, not leggy whatsoever. And this is because we really had the light coming absolutely right down on top of these seedlings. They don't have to stretch for any type of light whatsoever, and that's what they're looking for. So what I wanted to show here was the Swiss chard, and then this being the kale. The kale is extremely short, it's extremely stocky, and it's really, really growing well. And this is not ready to transplant yet. I'm gonna leave this in this cell here, the Swiss chard, in their cells for probably about another week. They need to at least get their first set of adult leaves out. As you can see, most of the kale have their first set of adult leaves out. That means that their roots are going down and they're actually growing. Because these seed leaves here, you see all these seed leaves, they're the first leaves out. These leaves are basically producing energy for the plant. When the seed first sprouts, these are called the cotyledon leaves, and the cotyledon leaves, they actually grow from the energy left in the seed itself. Once the seed sprouts, these cotyledon leaves will spread out, these leaves here, and they will actually absorb energy and then start producing roots. So the root system is not yet formed yet on these, and I've had a lot of questions on knowing when it's a good time to transplant, and that is honestly like the time when they start getting their adult leaves, because like I said, the adult leaves is when the root actually will start growing and finding nutrients to support more leaves. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use our handy dandy tool here. This is just a screwdriver I've fashioned by pounding in the end of it, so it's not a point, and that way it's going to just push the plug. Because as you'll notice on the bottom of these trays here, on the bottom of the trays you see all these holes, and the holes are just about the diameter of this screwdriver here. So what I'll do is I'll flip it upside down. I'll try to find a plug here, and there's one. Pop it out, and you can see, there we go. So now you have a beautiful plug, not root bound at all, and it's just starting to coil. The roots are just starting to coil around the bottom there, and it's going to hold that soil in place in that plug. So now we're going to transplant it, and we're just going to continue doing that to all of these. And it's really simple this way. It just takes a screwdriver and a little patience and some good aim to get it right through that tiny hole there, and you can pop those plugs out, no big deal. So let's plant this up, right? And then all I have to do, since I've already pre-moistened the soil, the hole is made really easily. I just drop this plug right down into the hole there, and then I just backfill a little bit up the stem just to support it a little bit more, and it's going to be all that much more stocky and ready to grow. All right, let's do another one. Just kind of poke around and feel for a hole there. Pull it out, pop it in. It is so simple, and I can honestly do this whole tray in about 30-45 minutes. It does not take long. Once you get the feeling for kind of where the holes are and where to aim the screwdriver, it's fine. Some of these I'm noticing, some of these on the kale are not as ready as I would like. I would really like them to kind of pop out as a plug, but they're going to be fine. I'm going to get this filled up here, and then I might let some grow a little bit longer, just because I want to make sure that that I have a nice, healthy, mature root system that's ready to go. And as I'm going, I'm also going to pick out the healthiest one, because as you know, free snacks, I do need to thin as well. So I typically do that when I pull them out of the trays, because some of these have 2 plants growing in them. And you get to graze on your fresh microgreens, which is nice. Yep, see, this one's got three plants in there. And so I'm going to pick this one here to go, and this one here can go. And now I have just one, which is going to go into the soil, and we're good. All right, so I'm going to finish this up here. I'm going to finish this tray, and I'll get back with you in a second. So there you go. It was really that simple. We got our cabbage done, except for the red acre. We have the blue curled Scotch kale and the black magic kale done, and then we have the lacinato kale done. So we have those those 3 flats done, I still have to do the Vates kale, I still have to do the broccoli, the rainbow chard, and the red acre cabbage. Those are not large enough yet to justify transplanting, and it would just do more harm than good. So I'd rather them go another week, be a tiny bit too much root bound, than to try poking them out, ripping them out, and having the soil just not come out of the plug properly. So it was really simple. I'm just going to water these in, and then they're going to be all set. So I'm going to pop them in the greenhouse, and I'll catch you all on next episode. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this episode. Hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you're growing bigger going home. And I'll talk to you all later. See ya. Bye.